Looks like he's coming our way. Hopefully we can scare him away.
Here we go again. It's not the warmest of mornings right now, but it's definitely been much worse. Actually, it's pretty warm. It's not frosty at all, but I remember exactly 2 years ago, this past weekend, it was dumping snow on the boat while we were fishing in a fishing derby right over here. Absolutely freezing. The grass is actually starting to get a little green here right now. Anyway, my neighbor's got his excavator fired up through those trees there, so if you hear something, you gotta put up with it. Adventure Dogs here. Quick thought, I grabbed a couple of books. I've had a lot of books mailed to me over the years. And remember we talked about the block the other day, and it's alarming to me with people who, when they hear this topic come up, they just get that donk, big iron plate slapped in their face, and nothing can penetrate it no matter what, or either way, come out of their mouth or in their ears. It's really weird, very bizarre. But what I'm curious about is there's a lot of people who spent years thoroughly going after and investigating this topic of these human-like beings that seem to be existing next to us, whether it be full-time or part-time. It's up to you to decide in your own mind, I guess, at this stage of the game. But when you have committed to investigating this topic, like full on going at it, obviously, due to the patterns discovered, well, probably not discovered here, but the patterns shown here clearly over the, what's it been, 5 years? If you were to research this topic thoroughly, there's no way you would not come across numerous people who see very odd things. Odd meaning compared to these people being considered just a regular species of ape, somewhat kind of a gorilla that's living undetected in North America and other places in the world. Right? There's no way. There's no way. Whether it be red eyes glowing, not reflecting in the night, there's absolutely no way they're going to not come across that share. What else? Possibly vanishing in thin air. Hiding behind a tree, which the tree wasn't big enough to conceal them. I've had that shared with me with people I trust with my life, absolutely. But I'm just saying, there's no way these many people who have researched this topic thoroughly haven't come across these in-your-face patterns. There's no way. Footprints, 1.5 times the size of ours in length and width, and sinking 3 times deeper in the snow or the ground than ours, and all of a sudden they just stop going in the snow. Burp. Done. There's no way they haven't come across those numerous examples and patterns, and it's another, what I see commonly with a lot of these people is it's another easy example of that brick wall flying up and hit you in the face. Nope. I will not acknowledge that, and I will not repeat it. And there's no way I'm putting it in my book or my website. Do you know what I mean? Why? Why is this? It's frustrating, interesting thing for me to observe, and frustrating. If I have some blocks that I'm not aware of, please tell me. Please, all of you, be my dear, great friends, and make sure you tell me. All right? Because I don't want to ever be there in this, what I've got left of this lifetime. I want to learn it all. I want to learn it all. I don't want to have a block in my mind. I don't think I do, but I have a feeling that the people that do aren't, obviously, they're not aware of it. They're not aware of it, and I don't think they'd even be open to discussion of it existing in them, within them, you know what I mean? All right, another confusing ramble. I'm sure to open up my morning, but that's been one of my thoughts lately. is the block, the brick wall. And I sure hope I don't have one. And if I do, I really, really sincerely hope that anybody, all of you, will alert me and give me a little shake and say, "Hey, dude, wake up! Look at this gap. You're gapping right here. Don't you see it?" And I'd like to think that I'd go, "Huh? I am? Give me an example. Hurry! I need to correct this quick. I hate wasting time. If I got a gap, I'm gapping out immensely on something, and I'm ignoring something completely. I wanna know. All right? I need that assistance. Okay? Now, move the old. I've been using the laptop the past while, and this microphone seems to be working all right. Pretty simple. Here we go. Woke up to one of the headlines of quote from, I think it's a Chinese consulate in the U.S. saying they're basically ready for any war. Any day. Oh, great. Oh, isn't that great? What a great thing to see first thing in the morning. China's ready for a trade war, for a technical war, or any kind of war. That's just super to wake up and read that, especially today, isn't it? Bunch of idiots. Okay, I'll save many kind of a rants on that in the end. Now, what do we got here? This is titled... Oh, yeah, right. Not to be read. Hate that. Well, I don't hate it. Sorry. It is what it is. Okay, now moving down the list. Here we go. More honest voices being heard, word for word, whether I agree or not with them. Possible sighting at Boy Scouts camp. Hello, Steve. I don't care if you use my name or not. Okay, what is it? John Turwheel. Turwheel? John, I hope I didn't butcher your last name, my man. I've been listening to your videos for several years now, and it made me realize that maybe what I interpreted as a trick by the Boy Scout camp leaders may actually have been something else. In the mid-'60s, I lived in North Vancouver, and I went to a Boy Scout camp on one of the islands in Georgia Strait. Not sure which one. The leaders had told us around the campfire about Sasquatch the night before, which was my first introduction to it. The next morning, we were all sitting in the canteen, which was up in the air on stilts. You had to go up a flight of stairs to get into the room. We were all eating on rows of wooden picnic tables when suddenly a big, hairy face was looking in the window and banging on the glass. The boy that was sitting beside the window, closest to it, absolutely panicked and ran to the door. He was crying hysterically and was holding the door shut with every bit of his strength he had. He was so frightened that he urinated as he held the door shut. I can't remember much after that image that is burned into my brain. Besides discussing it afterwards outside on the stairs with some of the others, we assumed that it was a gag that the leaders did at that time, but the window that the face appeared in was more than 10 feet above the ground. So we were speculating that the person in the costume had to have been on stilts to be able to look in that window. I don't remember much more than that because we all assumed it was staged. But thinking about it 55 years later, there's some questions about the whole thing that seem questionable. Like, why would the leaders want to scare the absolute crap out of us kids? We were Cub Scouts, maybe 10 or 12 years old. But you can write that off to misguided ideas of fun. But how did they manage to be on stilts, on sloped rocky ground, and use their hands to bang on the window instead of holding on to the stilts? Back then, stilts were made of wooden poles with little blocks in the sides that you put your foot on, but you had to hold on to the top of them to use them. And then it disappeared quickly with no trace. Just getting off the stilts with a costume on seems very difficult and dangerous. And after listening to all the stories on your channel and thinking back to that time, it made me wonder if it was not a stunt and actually was a real Sasquatch. Has anyone else had an experience like that? When I heard of the sighting off Orcas Island many years ago, where many people on a boat potentially saw a Sasquatch swimming from one island to the other, made me remember this event. It sort of explains why it might be on an island. By the way, it would be wonderful if you could put all these pictures and videos in a collection on your webpage so we can look back through them and compare. Thanks for what you're doing. You may be the one that actually breaks the cover-up of these forest people. They say there is no evidence of them, but that is so untrue, especially the DNA studies by multiple credible labs determining the hair samples came from a human mother and unknown male. It is also very unlikely that all these sightings and footprints are 109% fake in every country and over all the centuries. There you go. Appreciate that email, man. Yeah, imagine having to go through all my emails to find all the pictures and videos and then put them on the... I need somebody to do that for me at this right now, this time of year. I don't know if there's any time of year I'm not busy, actually. But I'd like to know where that scout camp is. Excuse me. And yeah, they're on islands. They're on all the islands. They're right near... If you're still in Vancouver, they're right there on Gambier. Right there on Gambier. Probably all of them. A friend of mine was, I've known for 20 years, riding his dirt bike. I've shared that photo of the footprint they found and the footprints they found in the snow, spring snow. So there's just patches left, and they first busted out their trials bikes and were ripping around high up on Gambier Island and came across those prints, and it scared the shit out of them. So I'd be curious what I'm curious about is why would they have the cabin built on stilts? That's not common at all for British Columbia. Down in the south, where all of my friends have hunting properties and hunting cabins, they're all built on stilts down there because of the Mississippi River and other, anybody that lives down in the south. It regularly floods. We don't flood here. Why would they have it built on stilts? Weird, huh? So they say there's no evidence of them, but it's so untrue. I hope everybody's having to look at things at a different angle from me suggesting, but I hope it's clear at this stage of the game that the evidence is present. It's 100% in our faces. It's just a matter... what do we do? The whole system's corrupt, rigged, we're all manipulated, we're all lied to, our true history is absolutely being held from us. Right? So with that being known, who is it that we need to say to us, okay, it's true. You know what I mean? In reality, if you guys just come up with for yourselves right now, just make up a quick short list of who you feel you need to hear the words from their mouth. Okay, people, it's now 2025. Sasquatch is very real. I don't need anybody. I can't think of one group. There's nobody that I need to hear that from at this stage of the game. The proof's here. It's in our face. It's just a matter of helping each other. Do you know what I mean? Helping like-minded people that are trying to look for knowledge, share the knowledge, and talk about what the hell's going on without hitting those speed bumps to slow them down. Where a speed bump is the people who say it's not true. Give me proof. Oh my God, get away from me. You're a speed bump, smashing forward. I think obviously there is a very large percentage of our population are absolutely impeded. They are not going to smash forward in this lifetime. They're not. And I think we just have to accept that fact, leave them in the dirt where they've chosen to stay, and keep going forward. You know what I mean? And that's basically what we're doing here. We've been rapidly accumulating people who don't have the block. Thank God. And we can all help each other, feed off each other's knowledge, and share and keep smashing forward. But I'm telling you what, there's I can't think of any group, anyone with any title that I need at this stage of the game to tell me, all right, cat's out of the bag, you got us, it's true. No. That's just me though, right? But I absolutely appreciate that email, man. Absolutely. Built on stilts in BC. Very interesting, right? Very interesting. Excuse me. Who do we got? These are all recent, by the way, I believe. Yeah, they are. They're all recent. Today's edition. More info from Hawk to you. Good morning, Steve. I've watched you now for around 2 years and appreciate the time and effort you put into this. Who, thank you. And I appreciate the group for not leaving disrespectful comments on my forest person, the bear story. It's taken some time to come out with what I have learned. I did see a comment that asked why would my grandfather run to the sound of the commotion? Oh, this is about the grandfather that got in the tussle with the bear and the Sasquatch? Well, you just have to understand the mentality of a young Native American who'd been in the mountains most of his life. He was going to try to see what was going on. He didn't know he was going to end up in the middle of it. And another said someone in Swan Lake has a forest person he calls Scar. I don't know if it's the same one. My grandfather said Scar had a scar that ran down the left side of his forehead onto his left cheek. That sounds really familiar. I think we have seen a real good drawing of that face in the past. Right? I'll try to keep filling in details as I go along to other stories. I'm getting old and it takes me a long time to write these out. Scar was very young when my grandfather first met him with the bear. He says Scar was around 6 feet tall and very muscled up, wide shoulders. Hair was the color of a blue heeler and not excessively long, except on the head and going down the back and groin area. It did hang down from the back side of his arms, mustache and small beard. Otherwise, no hair on face. Feet were long and not too wide at this point. They would get much longer and wider as he grew. His heel was longer on the back of the ankle than a person's heel is, making his foot even longer. His eyes were large and dark brown, and you could see some whites. My grandfather didn't really describe a brow ridge, but bumps that were larger where the nose started. His nose was large, pretty much like a person's, but bigger nostrils. His mouth was large and straight, wide lips. My grandfather said he later seen him open his mouth so wide you could stuff a whole chicken in there. Teeth were big and square. Tongue reminded him of a crow's tongue. When my grandfather watched him lick the bear grease off his hand, long eyelashes and thick eyebrows. Arms were longer than a person's and hands and fingers were big. Legs were thick. My grandfather said he'd seen Scar bleed, and he had a belly button. So he knew he was a person of this world. Scar later told my grandfather what led up to the fight with the bear. He had reached the age that he was sent out on quest by himself. That's why others didn't come to help him. This quest was to bring back a bear cub. He said the mother bear had scented him, but he was hidden. He took a chance and ran and grabbed one of the cubs. He said the mother bear saw him and was right on his tail. He turned to look back and ran headlong into a tree. And the fight was on. Scar smiled and kind of shrugged his shoulders, and my grandfather said he laughed his ass off and wished he could have seen that part. I'll write back with more on the forest people later. My grandfather left me with a lot of info that people not only want to hear, but should hear. Have a great day, Steve, and How to Hunt Family, Hawk. And oh, that little chippy fella makes me smile, doesn't he? Yep. Poor little kid. Gifted with those looks. Kidding. Okay, man. What should we do here with you? I wonder if maybe, because you're typing this shit out is a pain in the ass, and believe me, I get it. Hold on. Look. If you have access to a laptop, and you have laptops today, they all got a microphone and camera in them. And if you want to come on here and talk with me and we'll talk about it, and then I'll save you typing it, we can do that, all right? Just let me know. Or email me back, let me know, okay? Because I know you're here right now. And because I feel that would be quite the interesting conversation. And if that confuses you at all, just go grab any young person in your hood or in your family. They'll whip it up in about 2 minutes. It's that easy for you, okay? And we'll take it from there. Or not. It's up to you. I guess we could do it by phone calls too, but I prefer. It'd be good if we could, without if anybody else out there who I may be contacting, if it would be better to do it this way. And as a side note, the when you go to hit record while two people are on here, both people have to agree to the record part, and it'll show if somebody's on the other side recording, it'll show me. I have to accept it. That being said, just so you know, I have shared my video this way in the past with others. Shared it with Nino and other people I trust. They didn't record it, and they went and got their family and everybody to stand there and watch. Okay, well, you ready? And then I showed them the video. Just so you know. So that's another reason why I would prefer to have people on here with me. Now, yeah, let me know, all right? Talk it over with, you got some family there. Even the phone will work, too. You can just put the phone in a little stand, plug it in so it doesn't run out of juice, and let it rip. But let me know, all right? Look into it first. Don't automatically convince yourself you can't right away, because believe me, help is very near when it comes to this stuff these days. Now, a lot of people, including me, years ago, I wouldn't believe that a black bear would get in a tussle with anybody, but I have witnessed them getting pretty aggressive a handful of times. One time I got chased in my truck, Alaska Highway. I was on my way to go guiding, actually, broad daylight in the afternoon. And here's this, hold on a minute, I'm trying to do two things at the same time. And here's a black bear sow with 4 small cubs walking along the edge of the boulder bank on the river paralleling the road. So I'm like, holy shit, no way. So I parked, I got out of the truck, walked around the hood, and I got to her side of the truck, which is pretty close, which is the other side of the truck, and I want to get a video of her, and she came flying at me. I'm like, what? And I had to run around the front of the truck and jump in the driver's door and slam the door, and she almost got me. So yeah, it's true. A black bear sow can and will get aggressive. Okay. This is titled Bigfoot in the Rain 2. And this is, I screwed up. I'm like, 2? What do you mean? And I looked down. I had 2 emails in one yesterday, I think. And I read the one at the bottom first. And I got to the bottom. Didn't even remember there was one at the top, which is the second one. So here we go. My reason for telling my experience. You made me feel at ease, and you understand what it takes to reveal the experience. I was crossing the Sabine River near Carthage, Texas. There, on my left, near the bridge, was a 300-pound dead wild hog. And on the right side, a Bigfoot about 8 feet tall, surprised by me. He flexed his muscles at me. I swerved to try to scare him back over the rail. He stood his ground and I hit the gas. I sped off, and I looked at the rearview mirror and saw him sprinting after me. He was about 6 feet behind my tailgate. I punched the gas, and I left him behind. He growled and jumped over the rail and into the woods. You made me feel like I could be truthful with you, and I never told anyone when this happened in 2012. You read my email, and now I keep dreaming at the situation since then, and sometimes I dream of that day with both terror and safe endings. I shoot him in most of my dreams. Sometimes he reached in my truck and caused havoc on me and my wife, who was riding with me. After I saw your show, I realized I had to tell you, and the people who have seen these beasts. God bless you. Trump 1, Ray from Temple, Texas. God bless you too, Ray. Appreciate it, man. I'm glad it helped. I'm sorry you're getting here having nightmares about it still, but they'll go away. They'll go away. Yeah, I wonder what he would have done if he caught the truck. Like, what's he gonna do? Jump in the back, smash through the window like a superhero in a movie? My story is the title of this next email. Steve, my friend and brother, though we've never met. I have a two-part story. My first strange experience happened on a very snowy winter's day in '76. I was 15, walking through the woods in central Indiana. I made approximately 3 miles in a foot of snow. I know it doesn't compare to the snows you Canadians get. I have my 2-year-old fierce 35-pound mutt with me, and I say fierce due to two ER bills I ended up paying because she chewed up 2 brats cutting through my yard. Oh no, she chewed them up pretty good. Oh. I had all her shots and felt slightly guilty since I was friends with their parents. And okay, so this woods was sort of a legend due to its being haunted. I had my Marlin 22 with the 10-round mag, and suddenly a limb snapped behind me. I was 6 foot, 200 pounds, solid young man. I spun around looking and saw nothing. Then my dog started growling. Though these trees were old growth, there was no ground clutter. There's a bunch of typos, I'm filling them in, right? I took a couple steps when another limb snapped. My dog went growling to whimpering. She started looking up into the trees, and I looked up, but due to the falling snow, nothing. I walked another half a mile when I came across an old burned-out cabin. The hearth was about all that was left. There were a couple of 2-foot across red oaks growing in the middle of where the main structure would have been. I then swore I heard a footstep behind me in the snow. I walked where I expected to see some tracks behind a larger tree, when a limb snapped behind me. My dog now wanted me to pick her up. I placed her inside my big coveralls and zipped her up in my parka. I went back to that woods the next spring. My dog got to the edge of the woods and froze. I wouldn't follow me even a foot in. I got a creepy feeling and I backed out. I got 100 yards back away and I said, God, if I shouldn't enter this woods again, let a hawk fly from this woods to the large oak in the middle of the pasture, several hundred yards away. And God is my witness. A hawk immediately swooped from the edge of the woods to that oak tree. Needless to say, I never went back. And I add this too. I add this to indicate something was writing that woods. I'd been at my girlfriend's and her mother offered to drive me home, and as we drove through the edge of the woods, her mother said, I always feel like something evil's in that woods. You're the second person I've told this to. My son was the first. P.S. I bought a woods of my own approximately 20 miles from that woods, and if you follow the river, you could easily walk that distance in the daylight. One night, sitting alone in my kitchen in the dark drinking coffee, I love sitting in the dark drinking anything, all of a sudden my 2 different dogs went crazy when someone or something tapped my door leading out to my wraparound porch. I grabbed my pistol and went outside. I was thinking it was some delinquent kids, but I thought no brat kids would be out in 40 degree weather in a heavy rain. Then it happened again. I called the sheriff. 2 deputies were there quickly, and I explained what happened, and they pointed to the very large muddy handprint on the lower glass of the storm door. The deputies left after walking around my barn and house, and after they left, this still sounds crazy, I heard, would you like to meet me? Whoa. I quickly said, hell no. I never had another issue, nor did I hear anything again. You're a hero, Steve. Thanks for allowing me to share this. There is a blank RO report around 8 miles from where I live in 1979. My puzzle started making sense after following you. Thanks a million, Steve. I'm praying a hedge of protection around you and your property and loved ones. 2-legged and 4-legged alike. God bless and thank you again. I'll share one more incident another time. Sorry for the long text. It's not long, man. Very easy. Appreciate that email big time. And I am absolutely interested in hearing what else you got because it sounds like somebody's there. Somebody's there Doesn't sound like they're evil so far, but who knows? I don't know. I think it's almost a 50-50 split right now with how all the group here feels. Some people don't do it, don't make contact, don't seek these beings out. And then you get other friends that think they're just hairy, fuzzy, loving cousins, and they want to bring them a meal on a plate. Right? I think it's pretty well a 50-50 split, don't you think? I don't think we have a majority leaning in any direction, majority in either way yet. It sounds like somebody's there. Something's there full time. Yeah, I don't know, what would I do? I don't know, me? I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even say this out loud, right? Because our words have a lot of power spoken out loud. I didn't make it to the place where the culvert is yesterday. It was pouring rain, and I got caught up doing stuff here, but, excuse me, maybe today. So I'm just picturing somewhere, okay, let's just say, or even down at the river here, sit on my quad. What am I going to do if somebody voice says, do you want to meet me? If it's clear and my gut says I'm not going to get my head popped off, I might possibly react with, sure, you want to stand on the other side of the river and we'll face each other. Right? Don't just appear right in front of my quad. You know? I don't want to be absolutely messed up for the rest of my existence. I don't know. I think I'd need a little more follow-up on the initial question. I'd be like, well, what's this going to mean and what's going to happen after we meet? Can you be trusted? Am I safe? Can you just show up and look at me from the other side of the river? Fully expose each other to us? Not expose, but you know what I mean. Like, no bushes or branches in front of you. You just go stand right there, I'll stand here, and we'll talk. But you're not allowed to follow me home. Now, what do we got here? Have I read this? Okay. It's recent. I don't think it's... All right, here we go. Mind, sound, and a possible experience. I just resent it in case it got lost. I originally sent it from a different email. All right. Hello, Steve. I want to take a quick second to commend you on your work to help the people. Many people have had face-to-face or visual encounters that have left them in a state of disarray. And I'm sure many more have had just an odd encounter, something you just can't logically explain. My experience falls into the latter category. Nonetheless, thank you for bringing everyone together in a safe place where they might find answers or just some understanding of what they experienced. I drove tractor trailers over the road, and during the winter, sometime between December 2020 and February 2021, I was traveling on Interstate 87 in northeast New York State. It was about 2 a.m. in the morning, about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and I was in an area that seemed no one was around for 20 miles or so. The traffic that night was very light. Saw a car or truck every few minutes, and I couldn't see any lights from houses or anything. I'm not far from the area, but it seemed to be very rural, or even pretty remote in that area. It was not snowing this night, but it had recently. Everything was covered in probably 2 to 3 feet of snow, and it was close to a full moon. It was a clear night, very bright from the moonlight, reflecting off the snow. I was traveling along an area where there was a large median between the north and south lanes. And as I came around a bend, I saw an object flying through the air towards the truck. It was coming from the trees or wooded area that made up the median. I did not see exactly where it originated from, but it was 30 to 40 feet in the air and was headed my way from what appeared to be approximately 75 to 100 yards away. And as it got closer, I could tell it was going to impact my windshield directly in front of the driver's seat. And I noticed myself trying to get skinny up against the door as if I could lean out of the way to avoid it. Everything seemed to be in slow motion the last second or so until the object impacted the windshield. And just before it hit the truck, I could tell it was a snowball about the size of a honeydew melon. And when it hit, it exploded across the windshield, momentarily obstructing my view. I turned on my wipers and tried to see what in the world could have caused that. and also looked out my driver window as I went past the area I believe it came from, and I didn't see anything. There were no overhead objects such as trees, light poles, power poles, overpasses, or power lines that it could have fallen from. And like I said, this snowball came toward me on a trajectory as if it was thrown from an outfielder. It's a home plate. I played sports at a high level with many talented athletes and some that went on to play professionally. I've witnessed some amazing athletic feats in person, and I will tell you, I don't know of any human who could possibly possess the strength or talent to launch a snowball of that size in that manner. Not even Bo Jackson. I've tried to come up with a logical explanation, and the only thing I can think may explain what happened is this. 3 teenagers, or young adults, with one of those 3-man beach slingshots were in the medium of the interstate, miles away from anything, in cold 20-degree weather at 2 a.m., trying to hit cars with huge snowballs. I just don't think that's a realistic answer, given the situation. I've told many people about this, and they all don't really have any other explanation to offer up, so I'm just left with the question of what happened. I believe it was an encounter with these beings, but I don't dwell on it, and it's not giving me any fear of the outdoors, just a desire to know more. I have heard stories of things being thrown at people, usually in a non-threatening manner, but I've not really heard it being described as playful or jokingly. Do you think there's a possibility? Could this be these beings mimicking our activities, such as throwing a baseball back and forth to each other, or children throwing snowballs at one another, copying something that they may have seen while watching from the wood line? I think it is possible, and I think that they may understand it, thinking it may be another way we communicate. I'd like to hear what you think. And on a side note, you mention all the time whether or not you want to experience mind speak. I believe you already have. Let's call it mind sound. You refer to the time you and your partner were in the woods, separated by a short distance, and you heard a loud wood knock. And after getting back over to your partner and asking if they heard it, they told you no. What? After getting back to your partner and asking if they heard it. It's the other way around, actually. I didn't hear it. My partner did. They told you, could it be possible that the being you were near wanted you to know they were nearby but didn't want to show themselves, or wanted you out of the area? Maybe the wood knock you heard was imprinted in your mind and not audible mind sound. This would explain why your partner did not hear it. What do you think? Thank you for your time, and hopefully this helps someone. Jerry Wilson. And then January 26, 2025. There's another email. I sent you the story in January. Okay, I'm sure this is the one you sent me. Gotcha. All right, here we go. God, it sounds familiar. I don't think I've read that, but I've read something similar. I'm not a behavioral specialist when it comes to these people. Well, maybe we all are. We're getting there, right? But anyway, the highway that connects Kamloops, British Columbia, to Jasper, Alberta. That highway has, all highways in BC have nothing but sightings on them, but that highway is where my old girlfriend had that hairy dude, quote, stooped over, running beside her car in a blizzard, looking in the window. She said the whole face filled the window, teeth like ours, and she said the expression on its face, and she said it was like it was just rocking it out, like it was having a good time. Like it was entertaining itself. And then she realized she was all the way on the wrong side of the road in a whiteout, and she veered off to the right, and it just appeared out of the headlight light, the glow from the headlights. Anyway, same stretch of highway. A Greyhound bus driver reported massive frickin' snowballs launching out of the timber and hitting the front of the bus while they're driving down that highway. So, if I had to make a call and I'm looking for some kind of a pattern or other evidence, well, we got somebody I trust in my life telling me what they saw beside the car, and the look on his face is like it was just entertaining itself, rocking itself out. Well, would that possibly same demeanor of that being be a culprit for winging snowballs at buses and laughing? I think that's a high probability myself. Right? It's got to be entertainment, because if it wasn't, if it was malicious in any way, it probably would have been a tree coming roots first, or a log, or a boulder. I'm guessing. From what we've learned here, right? So there you go. There you go. Had another native friend of mine I met in Bamfield. He's had a few experiences, and he said he was driving the Bamfield Road, same road where Ruby and I take to go hunting and fishing on the boat and stuff. And he said a tree came flying at his car out of the darkness. A tree came flying at him out of the timber like a javelin, and he just swerved to miss it. Now, who else? All right, well, I'm sitting right here. I do have Bobby's Shorts book is right here in front of me, and it's open to a page, and it's in the behavioral things, and coincidentally, excuse me, here's one titled Attacking Cars. Appropriate time to throw down from the late, great Bobby Short. In an article published in the Minneapolis Star Tribune in 2002, longtime researcher Mike Quast, this up here, a resident of Moorhead, Minnesota, is quoted as saying, quote, "I think one of the main reasons why science doesn't take this animal seriously is because we have labeled it a monster, and nobody's supposed to believe in monsters," he said. "If it had just been thought of as a new species of wildlife, there would have been scientists out there looking for it," end quote. Mike told a great story. It was one of the first he would chronicle. It was about a car being attacked by a Sasquatch. Captivated by the behavior of the Sasquatch, I made note of the reported conduct in an old computer. Then in 2010, I found the reference again to this unusual behavior. Even the investigator, Quast tracked down a mechanic who told his brother-in-law that he and his brother's girlfriend were driving around a wooded area near Vargas, Minnesota, and suddenly a hair-covered creature leapt out at them as they went by. When they turned the car around to get another look at it, it attacked their car. They later found a large dent in the trunk lid. The description was typical. Weight, approximately 300 pounds, standing 7 or 8 feet tall. I wondered how anyone would explain a dent that size to their insurance adjuster. Quote, "An angry Sasquatch chased my vehicle with his fist and dented the trunk of my car," end quote. Right? What insurance adjuster in their right mind would believe that story? Okay, chasing and attacking. A swarm of devil creatures chase man. The Harry Culp story. C-O-L-P story. As told by his daughter, Virginia, is fairly well known, and being attacked by hairy giants is worrisome. Here is the pertinent excerpt. Here we go. Quote, "Looking over the top of this tree from where I stood, I could see out on Frederick Sound, Cape of the Straight Light, the point of Vanderput Spit, Point Vanderput. And turning a little to the left, I could see Sukhoi Island, Kodiak, from the mouth of Wrangell Narrows. Satisfied with that, I turned half around to get a back sight on some mountain peaks, and lying below me on the other side of the ridge, from the ledge, was the Half Moon Lake the Indian had told me about. Quote, "Right there, fellows, I got the scare of my life. I hope to God I never see or go through the likes of it again. Swarming up the ridge toward me from the lake were the most hideous creatures. I couldn't call them anything but devils, as they were neither men nor monkeys, yet looked like both. They were entirely sexless. Their bodies covered with long, coarse hair, except where the scabs and running sores had replaced it. Each one seemed to be reaching out for me and striving to be the first one to get me. The air was full of their cries, and the stench from their sores and bodies made me faint. I forgot my broken gun and tried to use it on the first ones, and then I threw it at them and turned and ran. God, how did I run? I could feel their hot breath on my back. Their long, claw-like fingers scraped my back. The smell from their steaming, stinking bodies was making me sick, while the noises they made, yelling and screaming and breathing, drove me mad. Reason left me. How I reached the canoe or how I hung that piece of quartz is a mystery to me. When I came to, it was night, and I was lying in the bottom of my canoe, drifting between Thomas Bay and Sukhoi Island, cold, hungry, and crazy for a drink of water. But only to satisfy the latter urge, I started for Wrangell, and here I am. You no doubt think I'm either crazy or lying, but all I can say is, there's the quartz. Never let me hear the name of Thomas Bay again, and for God's sake, help me get away tomorrow on that boat. And so passed Charlie from our lives. We put his story down as a fantasy caused by loneliness and morbid thought. Harry P. Culp via his daughter Virginia. Huh. The Culp story is more of an account of a Sasquatch attack rather than a chase story. For me, the realism of it came when I read his words. Stench from their sores and bodies made me faint. That brought it home. I'd like to take a special kind of field. It would take a special kind of field man to soldier through an ordeal like Harry Culp endured. Of interest, Thomas Bay, Alaska gained the name Devil's Country. Devil's Country. When in 1900 people claimed to have seen devil creatures in the area. The locals referred to it as the Kushtaka, a shape-shifting creature of Tlingit legend that can take the form of either man or an otter. There you go. Take from what you will or leave it, right? Huh. What a pile of time. Bobby put in so much time into this topic. Holy shit, she put a lot of time into looking into this. It really had a grip of her, didn't it? It's just caught my eye. Let me read this one more. Scream, like stand it up. It's easier when I do that. Scream unhinges hardened hunters. In August of 81, on the west side of Sleepy Cat Peak in northwestern Colorado, 3 experienced bow hunters experienced a situation that none of them could explain. After this encounter, none of them have ever returned to the area again. 2 of the hunters were police officers. One fellow was a lieutenant and the other a sergeant. The third man was an associate that had been in the Army National Guard for many years. His last unit assignment was military combat police, and all 3 were experienced in the use of firearms and self-defense. One evening, 2 of the hunters decided to go down into a low valley from their base camp. One hunter remained in camp. 2 hunters split up, with one going even lower and the other leveling out around a small valley. Nothing was moving. Elk, deer, birds, or squirrels, it was dead quiet. And as darkness fell, the lowest man became uneasy, much like when an imminent ambush is suspected. It was enough that as the evening fell, he decided to hurriedly head back toward camp. Uphill and at over 9,000 feet altitude, he walked briskly, not knowing the whereabouts of the other hunter. And as he climbed up the side of the slope, he could faintly see a campfire glow in the distance through the thick timber. Stopping for a moment, he turned back to look downhill for his hunting companion, and he could not see anyone in the dark, overshadowed canopy. He was still very concerned for his safety. He continued to climb up until he reached camp. And back at camp, there was a sense of urgency and concern for the other hunter. Shaken, not a breath, no words were exchanged between the 2 men for several minutes. No reason was ever given for the silence that both of them observed. And finally he asked the 3rd hunter in camp if he had seen the other man, and he had not. The seconds passed. Turning and facing back down the slope, they finally see the 3rd hunter coming up the hill at a double-time pace. "Did you come from down there?" he asked the other hunter. "Yes, I just got here," the 3rd hunter replied. "I do not like it down there. Something's not right with that area." The 3 veteran hunters stood looking down the slope in what is now almost complete darkness. Again, they both concluded that there is something wrong down there, but neither man arrived at a conclusion. They remained standing, looking, listening. There's nothing making any noise, and it was eerily quiet. Both experienced men retired for the night. No alcohol was consumed. The early retirement was in order as storm clouds lit up the west. The fire remained stoked. The night fell silent. The sergeant in his own tent and the other two are in another tent perched on top of a small hill overlooking a large sloping side of Sleepy Cap Mountain. The area was covered with large formations of rock and patches of thick black tall timber. The hour was 9 p.m. And as law enforcement professionals and former military police officer, sidearms were kept close by. The night passed quietly until around 1:30 a.m., when they were rattled down to the very core with the most terrifying scream and growl. Hold on a second. With a chest-rattling snarl at the end. The pitch was a low woo. The hammers rolled back on the sidearms, heart rates accelerated, and there was a profound sense of fear among them. Whispering in low tones, "What was that?" But no one knew. None of them knew. They agreed that none of them had ever heard anything like that ever before, in all their collective years in the field. They remained on alert, prepared to defend their lives, and in the event, the screamer showed itself. Oh, sorry. They remain on alert, prepared to defend their lives in the event the screamer showed itself. The woods went silent again. There's nothing more and no sounds near or far. Whatever it was upset two of them to the point of insomnia. Sleep did not come as the persistent need was to remain on guard. And after several hours, the two men in the double tent decided to sleep in the cab of the truck for the remainder of the night. It was a good choice because a storm with lightning, thunder, and rain erupted, and it went on until daybreak, and then it stopped. Camp was broken down, and the truck was loaded. They made for the way out of this area and never returned. Whatever it was that made this uneasy feeling and exploded in such a loud and violent outburst, they figured was not anything known from the forests of this earth. This was unexplained and beyond their comprehension. For the former military police guardsman, this was to be the second encounter that would go unexplained. His second was much more complex, and absolutely no explanation was offered, even though 6 other people witnessed the same thing. The one thing that none of them could figure was the terrifying sound of the vocalization. Whatever it was, it had incredible strength and agility in total darkness. It was loud. It came from only a few feet from their tents. What beast could do such a thing in the dark? After that terror-filled night, none of these men continued to hunt. It was the most profound sense of terror I've ever experienced, the informant wrote. This letter was colorfully written by Missy Jesse Rice and dated December 2011, King Folk to the sergeant in the story. Missy Rice said one thing about the event: their freezer has gone without venison for 2 hunting seasons. Wow. That sucks. Having all that taken away from you, right? Just from hearing a sound. Another example, just, in case all of us who haven't heard that sound, in case we're just not quite picking up on how extreme it is, right? It sounds pretty frickin' nasty. Holy shit. Oh, hold on a minute. I just about screwed up. I was babbling earlier, and I was sharing some photos. I was copying some photos to put in the video, but I didn't read the email. How did I just remember that? Hold on a minute. Where is it? So this email is titled Pictures. Hey, Steve, I want to show everyone a few pictures that were taken not long ago. I'll leave it up to you and everyone to decide what you're looking at. Thanks for all you do. All right. I don't think... No, we had pictures similar to this shared. Daylight and nighttime. Oh, eye shine, I think. We had eye shine and a similar picture shared a little while ago. There you go. What are we looking at? Something kind of odd. And again, if you can pull it off, or the original photographer can pull it off, go back there in the night. Same beams from the same vehicle, whether they're high beam, it looks like high beam. Go to the exact same spot where the picture was taken from, same time of night, put the high beams on and put somebody right there and see if that thing's there or not still. That's what I'm thinking. Not that a picture's going to make a difference anyway, right? For the people that claim they need a photo. God, still, it's been on my mind a lot lately. Still has. The fact that so many people, their brain just skips right over a statement shared with them from somebody they should trust. So bizarre. Anyway, there we go. Moving along. If I get my butt moving quickly here, I can get my other chores done, and then possibly it's not raining, so I may take Adventure Dog and go and see if we can't find that lake and the culvert under the highway. I'm just curious, because I didn't even know there was a culvert under the highway just up there. Might be interesting, right? But it's always kind of interesting the odd time when I go to exactly where something went down and video record and take you guys there with me. Right? Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. All right? Lots of people, where's the email? How do you email this guy? I think I say it every day. Or don't I? Share my story at howtohunt.com. What else? It's about it. Oh, I got an email from the that trail camera manufacturer. Yeah, they're giving me 10% of sales, just so you know. But more importantly, they're giving the discount code, so you guys save money, right? And I think in a way, like some of the people who just gross me out the most when it comes to commercializing of the hunting industry, the hunting industry, when I know how much of sleazy, misleading sons of bitches they are, it just kind of feels good in a way to honestly come across a camera that's wicked and promote it. When none of those guys are, because they're all into the top name, the top brand, which I don't give a shit who promotes it. Obviously, I've watched them lying nonstop, but yeah, feels kind of good to be able to go, no, those guys suck, those cameras suck, and this is actually authentic. This is the best trail camera I've ever come across to date, and I've used them all. Anyway, that being said, she emailed me last night and I said, yeah, why don't you give me a box of cameras? We can have some kind of, I don't know, contest or something on here. I don't know, and get your cameras out and get them known, and we'll get a bunch of... What are you doing, doggy? It's funny how they scratch the carpet thinking they're making a nest to lay down, right? And she agreed. And then she said, what kind of a contest were you thinking? I'm like, shit, I don't know. What do you guys think? How do we do this if we got a box of cameras? I don't know. But anyway, that's the word on that. But there's a link for those cameras in the bottom. I think they're going to send me a cell link camera and another one of those, solar panel camera to try out. I'm like, I don't know. I'm good with this shit right here. But anyway, I'll be back tomorrow. The link below is for those things and Sarah's goodies. I don't know what she's got left. And I'll definitely be back tomorrow. All right? Later.